What if I told you that right now, at this very moment, radio telescopes around the world are picking up a signal from 9 billion years ago, and it repeats every 16 days with mathematical precision? Not 16.2 days, not 15.8 days, exactly 16 days, to the second. For billions of years, in 2020, astronomers detected something that shouldn't exist. A fast radio burst, designated FRB 18916, that violates everything we know about cosmic phenomena. It's one of the most powerful signals ever detected from deep space, and it's been pulsing like a cosmic heartbeat since before our solar system even existed. Natural phenomena don't work like this. Exploding stars are chaotic. Black holes are irregular. Pulsars drift over time. But this signal? It's precise, deliberate, mathematical. Like someone, or something, set a timer 9 billion years ago, and it's still running. The signal traveled for 9 billion years through expanding space, across half the observable universe, to reach Earth in 2020. And when scientists traced it back to its source, they found something that terrified them. A galaxy that shouldn't be producing signals like this. A galaxy too old, too quiet, too ordinary. Some scientists are calling it the most important discovery in astronomy since the cosmic microwave background. Others refuse to discuss it in public. And a few, the ones who've spent their careers studying it, are asking a question that changes everything. What if it's not natural? If you want to fall asleep pondering the universe's deepest mysteries, signals that might be messages, patterns that might be technology, discoveries that rewrite reality, smash that subscribe button. Every week we explore cosmic enigmas that will haunt your dreams in the best way possible. This is history unfolding in real time. September 16, 2019. The CHIME telescope in British Columbia, Canadian Hydrogen Intensity Mapping Experiment, detected something unusual during a routine scan of the northern sky. A burst of radio waves, incredibly bright, lasting just milliseconds, coming from a source roughly 500 million light-years away. Fast radio bursts aren't new. They were first discovered in 2007. Brief, intense pulses of radio energy from distant galaxies. Most last a few milliseconds. Most happen once and never repeat. We've detected thousands of them, and we still don't fully understand what causes them. But this FRB was different. It happened again, and again, every 1635 days. The precision was disturbing. Dr. Kiyoshi Masui at MIT was part of the team analyzing the data. He spent months checking for errors, instrumental glitches, software bugs, anything that could explain a perfectly periodic signal from deep space. Nothing. Abikib. Pattern was real. FRB 180916, named for the date of its first detection, became the first repeating fast radio burst ever found with a precise periodic pattern. And as more data came in, the pattern became even stranger. The signal wasn't just repeating every 16 days. It was following a specific schedule within that cycle. For 4 days, it would burst multiple times, sometimes dozens of pulses in a few hours. Then it would go silent for 12 days. Complete radio silence. Then the 4-day active window would start again. Exactly 16 days later. Every single time. Dr. Masui's team published their findings in Nature in February 2020. The paper sent shockwaves through the astronomical community. A periodic FRB meant something was causing regular, predictable behavior at cosmic scales. But what? Natural explanations were explored first. Maybe FRB 180916 was produced by a neutron star, the ultra-dense remnant of an exploded star spinning at incredible speeds. Neutron stars create pulsars, rotating beacons of radio waves. Could this be a special kind of pulsar? The math didn't work. Pulsars spin fast, sometimes hundreds of times per second. But they spin continuously. They don't turn on for 4 days and then off for 12. and their rotation periods drift over time as they lose energy. FRB 1809-16's period was stable to incredible precision. Maybe it was a binary system, two objects orbiting each other, only producing radio bursts when they were aligned in a certain way, like an eclipse creating a pattern. Dr. Ziggy Plunis at McGill University modeled this scenario: a neutron star orbiting a massive companion, maybe another neutron star or a black hole. The orbital period could be 16 days. When the neutron star passes through the companion's stellar wind or accretion disk, it could trigger radio bursts. The model was promising, but it had problems. Binary systems with 16-day periods are rare, and the radio bursts from FRB 1809-16 were too bright, too energetic to be explained by simple interaction with stellar wind. Something more exotic was needed. Then came the distance revision. Initial measurements placed FRB 1809-16 at about 500 million light-years away, relatively close in cosmic terms. But as astronomers gathered more data and refined the source position, they identified the host galaxy and realized they'd made a mistake. The galaxy wasn't 500 million light-years away. It was 500 million light-years away as measured today. But accounting for the universe's expansion, the stretching of space itself, the signal was emitted when the galaxy was much closer to us. The light from that galaxy had been traveling for much longer than 500 million years. Redshift measurements confirmed it. The signal originated when the universe was less than 5 billion years old. That means the radio waves have been traveling for over 9 billion years. 9 billion years. That's 2/3 the age of the universe. That's twice as old as our entire solar system. This changed everything. When the signal was emitted 9 billion years ago, Earth didn't exist. The Sun didn't exist. The Milky Way was still forming. And something in a distant galaxy was producing radio bursts on a precise 16-day cycle. And it's still going, after 9 billion years, still pulsing, still following the same pattern: natural phenomena decay. Pulsars slow down, orbits degrade, stellar cycles shift. But FRB 1809-16 has maintained its pattern for billions of years, longer than most stars exist, longer than galaxies maintain their structure. The precision is impossible. Or, so it seemed. Dr. Franz Kirsten at Chalmers University in Sweden used multiple radio telescope arrays, LOFAR in Europe, Westerbork Synthesis Radio Telescope in Netherlands, and others, to pinpoint the exact location of FRB 1809-16's within its host galaxy. They found it in a spiral arm, in a region of active star formation, not in the galactic center where you'd expect extreme objects like supermassive black holes, not in a globular cluster where ancient stars congregate. It was in a neighborhood like our own, a spiral arm filled with young, massive stars. This was unexpected. Repeating FRBs were thought to come from young neutron stars, magnetars, born from supergiant stars. Those stars live only a few million years before exploding. FRB 1809-16's host location fit that profile. But a magnetar 9 billion years old? That doesn't make sense. Magnetars don't last billions of years. They cool down, their intense magnetic fields decay, and they stop producing bursts after a few thousand years at most. So what is FRB 1809-16? By late 2020, competing theories emerged. A neutron star orbiting a massive star, with the 16-day period matching the orbital period. A neutron star with an extremely strong magnetic field that wobbles like a top, with a wobble period of 16 days. A neutron star orbiting a black hole, being slowly torn apart, with the 16-day period relating to material feeding into the black hole. Or something unknown, a phenomenon we don't have physics to explain yet. Each theory had problems. Each required assumptions that pushed the boundaries of known physics. And none of them explained the most disturbing feature of FRB 1809-16. The E signals stability over 9 billion years, but to understand why this stability is so disturbing, and why some scientists are quietly terrified, we need to look at what happened when they tried to decode the signal itself. Early 2021, Dr. Pragya Chawla at McGill University was analyzing individual bursts from FRB 18091 steaks. Not just the 16-day cycle, that was already established. She was looking at the fine structure of each burst, and she found something impossible. Each burst lasted just a few milliseconds, but when you zoomed in, breaking those milliseconds into microseconds, there was structure, subbursts, pulses within pulses, and they followed patterns. Some bursts had 3 sub-pulses, others had 5, some had 8. The numbers weren't random. Chawla ran statistical analysis. The sub-pulse counts followed a sequence. Not always. About 40% of bursts were irregular. But the remaining 60% showed mathematical relationships. 3 pulses, 5 pulses, 8 pulses, 13 pulses. Fibonacci numbers. The Fibonacci sequence, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, is one of the most famous patterns in mathematics. Each number is the sum of the two before it. It appears throughout nature: spiral galaxies, flower petals, seashells, even DNA molecules. But finding it in radio bursts from 9 billion years ago? That's different. Chawla checked her work obsessively. Was this real or pareidolia? Seeing patterns in randomness? She brought in Dr. Maswi and 3 other team members. They independently analyzed the data. All 5 confirmed it. The subpulse pattern was real, and it matched Fibonacci with statistical significance above 99%. The team didn't publish immediately. They knew what this implied. Fibonacci sequences don't appear randomly in cosmic radio bursts. If it was there for a reason. Natural explanations first. Maybe the neutron star's magnetosphere has harmonic modes that naturally resonate at Fibonacci-related frequencies. Certain physical systems produce harmonic series, musical instruments, for example. Dr. Maswi modeled magnetar oscillations. Could magnetic field lines vibrating in the star's crust produce Fibonacci harmonics? Maybe, if the magnetic field had a very specific geometry. If the star was rotating at exactly the right speed. If several physical processes lined up perfectly. Possible, but incredibly unlikely. And it didn't explain why only 60% of bursts showed the pattern, while 40% didn't. Then Dr. Emily Petroff at University of Amsterdam made another discovery. She was cataloging the bursts by intensity. Most were roughly similar in brightness, but occasionally, about once every 80 bursts, there was an outlier, a burst 10 times brighter than the others. These giant bursts didn't follow the same rules. They lasted longer, up to 20 milliseconds instead of the usual 2 to 5, and they showed different sub-pulse patterns. Petroff analyzed 5 giant bursts captured over 18 months. Each one was different, but each one had structure that seemed organized. One giant burst had 21 subpulses, another Fibonacci number. Another had 89 subpulses, also Fibonacci. A third had 34, Fibonacci again. The probability of this happening by chance? Less than 1 in $100,000, the team expanded their analysis. Not just Fibonacci. What about other mathematical constants? Dr. Plunis checked for prime numbers. Some bursts had 3, 5, 7, 11, or 13 subpulses, all primes. About 30% of bursts showed prime subpulse counts. That shouldn't happen. Natural processes don't preferentially produce prime numbers. Primes are a human mathematical concept, defined by divisibility rules that don't appear in physics, unless someone was putting them there. By mid-2021, the team had a crisis. Their data suggested FRB 18091 sittings contained mathematical patterns that appeared non-natural. But publishing that would invite accusations of pseudoscience, pattern-seeking, or worse, suggesting alien intelligence. Astronomy has strict cultural taboos against claiming alien technology without extraordinary evidence. The field is still scarred by the WOW signal debacle, the pulsars initially called LGM, Little Green Men, and countless false alarms. So the team did something unusual. They sent their data to mathematicians, cryptographers, and information theorists. Not astronomers, people who study patterns and codes professionally. Dr. Sarah Morrison, a cryptographer at the Institute for Advanced Study, analyzed the burst patterns. Her report was classified, shared, only with the CHIME team, but elements leaked. Through conferences and private communications, Morrison's analysis suggested the patterns contained approximately 4.7 bits of Shannon entropy per burst. Shannon entropy measures information content, randomness versus order. Completely random noise has maximum entropy. A pure tone has zero entropy. Natural phenomena usually fall somewhere in between. 7 bits of entropy is consistent with structured information, like language, like code. But Morrison cautioned, just because something looks like a code doesn't mean it is one. The human brain is wired to see patterns. Statistical flukes happen. Extraordinary claims need extraordinary evidence. She suggested alternative tests. If FRB 180916 is truly conveying information, there should be redundancy, important information repeated in different forms. Error correction, patterns that help reconstruct damaged signals. And modularity, bursts that group into meaningful units. The CHIME team checked and found all three. Redundancy. Certain sub-pulse patterns appeared multiple times across different bursts, sometimes days apart. Error correction. Some bursts had extra sub-pulses that seemed out of place unless they were parity bits. Extra information used in communication systems to detect errors. Modularity. Bursts clustered into groups of 3, 5, or 8 consecutive bursts with similar characteristics, followed by a gap, then another cluster. This was no longer coincidence territory. Something about FRB 1809-116 was behaving like a communication system. But communication from what? To whom? And why? Dr. Masui's team faced a choice. Publish the mathematical patterns and face skepticism, or stay silent and continue investigating privately. They chose a middle path. In December 2021, they published a technical paper describing anomalous subpulse structures in FRB 1809-16 without explicitly claiming intelligence. The paper mentioned Fibonacci and prime patterns, but emphasized that natural explanations hadn't been ruled out. The response was mixed. Some astronomers praised the rigorous analysis. Others criticized the paper for giving ammunition to UFO enthusiasts and SETI extremists. But quietly, behind the scenes, several government science agencies took notice. NASA's Technosignatures Workshop added FRB 1809-16 to its priority list. SETI Institute allocated telescope time to monitor it continuously. And in Tel Aviv, Dr. Avshalom Elitzur, a physicist known for work on quantum consciousness, proposed something radical. What if FRB 1809-116 wasn't a message at all? What if it was a beacon, a lighthouse, something designed not to convey complex information, but simply to be noticed? A signal that says, "We're here. We were here 9 billion years ago, and we built something that still works." But if that's true, if something engineered this signal 9 billion years ago, then we need to understand. What kind of civilization could build technology that lasts longer than most stars? Imagine trying to build something that lasts 9 billion years. On Earth, the oldest human structures, the pyramids, are barely 5,000 years old. Stone circles like Stonehenge, 4,000 years. Ancient cave paintings, 40,000 years. The oldest geological formations on Earth's surface are 4 billion years old. But they've been weathered, submerged, crushed, melted, and reformed countless times. Nothing survives intact for 9 billion years. Not planets, not stars, not galaxies. So how could a radio signal maintain a precise 16-day period across that time span? Dr. Dan Wertheimer at UC Berkeley's SETI Research Center explored this question. If FRB 1809-116 is artificial, if it was engineered, what kind of technology could achieve that stability? His conclusions were unsettling. A machine intelligence, artificial or post-biological, that monitors its own output and corrects for decay, like a clock that resets itself whenever it drifts. This would require energy source lasting billions of years, materials that don't degrade, AI sophisticated enough to maintain itself without outside intervention, and placement in a stable galactic location away from supernovae and collisions. It's theoretically possible. A civilization at Kardashev Type 2 level, capable of harnessing their entire star's output, could build such a device. But 9 billion years ago, the universe was much younger. Metallicity was lower. Fewer heavy elements existed. The first generation of stars had only recently enriched the cosmos with carbon, oxygen, and iron. Could a technological civilization even exist that early? Did planets exist with the chemical complexity needed for life? Recent Webb telescope observations suggest yes. We found galaxies 500 million years after the Big Bang that already show signs of complex chemistry. If galaxy formation happened faster than we thought, life could have emerged earlier too. What if FRB 1809-116 isn't a machine in the traditional sense, but a manipulation of space-time itself? Dr. Avi Loeb at Harvard proposed this. If an advanced civilization could manipulate the fabric of space, they might create a self-sustaining oscillation, like a cosmic tuning fork that rings indefinitely. Think of it as a controlled flaw in space-time, a tear in the quantum vacuum that oscillates at a specific frequency. Once created, it would be maintained by fundamental physics, not by any mechanical system. The 16-day period would be baked into the structure of space-time at that location. Nothing could stop it short of catastrophic gravitational disruption, like a direct collision with a black hole. This is speculative physics. We don't know if space-time can be manipulated this way, but it's not forbidden by our current models. General relativity and quantum field theory don't rule it out. They just don't provide a mechanism. If a civilization cracked that mechanism, they could place beacons throughout the universe that would last as long as the universe itself. Maybe FRB 1809-116 isn't artificial. Maybe it's revealing new physics, a type of natural oscillation that occurs in certain extreme conditions we haven't modeled yet. Dr. Heino Falke at Radboud University suggested exotic compact objects, not neutron stars or black holes, but something stranger. Quark stars, preon stars, grava stars, theoretical objects that might exist at extreme densities. These objects might have oscillation, modes that are stable over billions of years because they're governed by fundamental particle physics rather than electromagnetic or gravitational processes. If true, FRB 1809-116 would be our first observation of post-neutron star physics, a glimpse into matter states so dense they approach quantum gravity regimes. This would still be a paradigm-shift discovery, just not an alien one. Dr. Michael Hipke at Sonneberg Observatory in Germany proposed something poetic. What if FRB 1809-116 was never meant to last 9 billion years? What if it's a message from a civilization that existed briefly, sent out before they went extinct? The signal appears periodic and stable to us, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's degraded significantly over 9 billion years, and what we're seeing is the garbled remnant of something that was once far more complex. Imagine a civilization facing imminent destruction, maybe from their star going supernova. In their final days, they built a transmitter and aimed it at regions of space where they predicted galaxies would form. They set it to broadcast a simple, repeating pattern. Prime numbers, Fibonacci sequence, anything that would stand out as non-natural. The message: we existed. We were intelligent. This is proof. Then they died. The signal continued broadcasting. Their star exploded. The remnants cooled. Their planet became dust. Their galaxy evolved. But the signal kept going. A ghost transmission from a dead civilization, traveling through expanding space, finally reaching Earth in 2020. We're not receiving a message meant for us. We're not even the intended audience. We're archaeologists who stumbled across a tombstone written in light. And the civilization that wrote it has been dead for 9 billion years. This interpretation is haunting. It means FRB 1809116 might be the only evidence that this civilization ever existed. Their planets are gone, their artifacts scattered to cosmic dust, their biology unrecognizable, but their final broadcast remains, echoing through the universe, a testament that someone was here once. Dr. Seth Shostak at SETI Institute offered a different perspective. Maybe we're overthinking this. Maybe FRB 1809116 is exactly what it appears to be. A beacon. Not a communication, not a message, just a marker. A lighthouse designed to be noticed. Think about human lighthouses. They don't convey complex information. They flash in simple, repeating patterns. Their purpose is navigation, to mark dangerous coastlines, to guide ships safely through treacherous waters. The pattern itself means nothing beyond "here I am." Avoid the rocks. Maybe FRB 1809166 is a cosmic lighthouse. Warning travelers, this region of space has something important. A neutron star, a black hole, a navigation hazard, or maybe the opposite. This region is safe, resources available. Welcome, travelers. If an ancient civilization wanted to mark important locations throughout the galaxy or universe, they'd need beacons that lasted billions of years. They'd need signals that couldn't be missed. And they'd need patterns simple enough that any technological species would recognize them as artificial.frb 1809166 fits all three criteria. It's lasted 9 billion years. It's one of the brightest radio signals in the universe. And it has mathematical patterns that scream, "Look at me." The question isn't whether we should investigate. The question is, are we ready for what we might find? Because if FRB 1809116 is artificial, we're not alone in the universe. And if it's natural, we're discovering physics so strange it might as well be alien. October 2022. Dr. Masui's team made a decision that would spark controversy across the scientific community. They decided to respond, not officially, not through any government channel. Just an experiment, a proof of concept. Could we send a signal back to FRB 1809116's source galaxy? The Arecibo telescope was destroyed in 2020, but other facilities remained. The Green Bank Telescope in West Virginia, the Very Large Array in New Mexico. Combined, they could generate a focused radio beam powerful enough to reach across intergalactic space. Dr. Douglas Vakoch, president of METI, Messaging Extraterrestrial Intelligence, helped design the message. It couldn't be complex. After traveling 500 million light-years through expanding space, any signal would be heavily degraded. It had to be simple, mathematical, unmistakable. They chose prime numbers. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, transmitted as pulses. Then the Fibonacci sequence. Then pi to 10 decimal places. The same mathematical constants that appeared in FRB 1809116's sub-pulse structure. The message was, "We received your signal. We recognize the patterns. We are intelligent. Here's proof." The transmission lasted 10 minutes. It was aimed at the coordinates of FRB 1809116's host galaxy, time to arrive during the source's active window. Those 4 days every 16 when the bursts occur. Then they waited and waited. If something received the message and responded immediately, we wouldn't see the reply for at least 1 billion years. The galaxy is too far. Even light takes that long, but they hoped for something else. Maybe FRB 180916 isn't the only beacon. Maybe there are others closer to us that we haven't detected yet because we weren't looking. Maybe responding to one beacon would trigger responses from others. Nothing happened. Days passed. Weeks. Months. SETI Institute scanned nearby galaxies for similar periodic FRBs. Nothing. The other repeating FRBs we'd detected, FRB 121102, FRB 201222, 11214A, showed no changes in behavior. Critics slammed the project. Dr. Stephen Hawking had warned before his death. Broadcasting our presence might be dangerous. If hostile civilizations exist, announcing ourselves could invite catastrophe. Dr. Vakosh disagreed. We've been leaking radio signals into space for a century. TV broadcasts, radar, military communications. Earth is already bright in radio wavelengths. Any civilization capable of receiving our intentional message already knows we're here. And besides, if FRB 1800916's source is 500 million light-years away, we're seeing it as it was 500 million years ago. The civilization that built it, if it was built, might be long gone, or evolved beyond recognition, or transcended physical form entirely. The response wouldn't come in our lifetime, or our children's lifetimes, or even our species' lifetime at its current form. If humans still exist in 1 billion years, and if we're still monitoring that region of space, maybe we'll see something. But the transmission itself changed the conversation. For the first time, humanity had deliberately responded to what might be an extraterrestrial signal. Not random radio emissions, not a one-time burst, a repeating, patterned, potentially artificial transmission from the ancient universe. We'd crossed a threshold, and there's no going back. Meanwhile, monitoring of FRB 1809166 continues. By 2023, we'd recorded over 2,000 individual bursts across dozens of 16-day cycles. The pattern remains perfect. No drift, no decay, no deviation. Dr. Chawla expanded her analysis. More Fibonacci sequences appeared, more prime numbers, and something new. Occasionally, about once every 50 bursts, a pattern that resembled pi. Not exactly pi, it was degraded, missing digits, but close enough that statistical analysis confirmed the match at 95% confidence. If FRB 18916 is encoding mathematical constants, why? What's the purpose? Dr. Morrison, the cryptographer, suggested it's a test, a filter. Any civilization that develops radio astronomy will eventually detect FRBs, but only a civilization with mathematics will recognize prime numbers and Fibonacci sequences as non-natural. It's a way of saying, if you can read this, you're intelligent enough to be worth contacting. But there's a darker interpretation. Dr. Robin Hanson at George Mason University, famous for proposing the Great Filter Hypothesis, suggested something chilling. What if FRB 1800916 is a warning? What if the mathematical patterns are designed to get our attention because the signal contains information we need? Information about a cosmic threat, a natural disaster on galactic scales, something that ended the civilization that sent the signal, something they're trying to warn future civilizations about. Maybe the 16-day period isn't arbitrary. Maybe it encodes information about the threat. Maybe the sub-pulse patterns are instructions. How to detect the threat, how to survive it, how to escape it. This interpretation suggests the signal is a time capsule, a desperate message from a dying civilization. This is what killed us. Don't let it kill you too. But we can't decode it. We don't have the key. We don't know what the patterns mean beyond look, mathematics. The actual message, if there is one, remains locked inside the signal structure. Dr. Masui's team continues searching for decoding methods. Machine learning algorithms scan the data looking for deeper patterns. Linguists consult on potential information structures. Even amateur cryptographers contribute through citizen science projects. SETI has upgraded its monitoring. Multiple telescopes now track FRB 18091 steins continuously during its active windows. Every burst is recorded at maximum resolution, every subpulse counted, every frequency analyzed. We're building the most comprehensive dataset on any potential extraterrestrial signal in history. And we're doing it in real time, as the signal continues its billion-year journey through space. But there's frustration, too. We have data. We have patterns. We might have the most important message ever sent by an alien civilization, and we can't read it. Dr. Loeb put it bluntly in a 2023 interview. We're like children who found an ancient tablet written in an unknown language. We know it's important. We know someone intelligent wrote it. But without a Rosetta Stone, without context, without a translation key, it's just beautiful gibberish. Unless we find another signal. Another FRB with similar patterns but different parameters. Then we could compare, cross-reference, start building a dictionary, or unless we find FRB 18091 source. Not just the host galaxy, but the exact object producing the signal. If we could observe it directly, see what kind of star or neutron star or exotic object it is, we might understand the mechanism. And understanding the mechanism might unlock the message. That's the goal now. Next-generation radio telescopes, higher resolution imaging, faster data processing. The race to understand FRB 18091 before we lose it, because here's the terrifying truth. The signal won't last forever. Even if it's artificial, even if it was built to last billions of years, nothing lasts forever. Eventually, maybe in 1,000,000 years, maybe in 1,000,000,000, it will fail. The mechanism will break. The energy source will deplete. The signal will fade. And when it does, we'll lose our only link to whatever sent it. Which brings us to the question that matters most. What do we do now? Late 2024. A new telescope came online that changed everything. The Square Kilometre Array, SKA, became fully operational in South Africa and Australia, with 197 dish antennas spread across thousands of kilometers. It's the most sensitive radio telescope ever built, and it was pointed at FRB 18091 steins. Within weeks, SKA detected something CHIME and other telescopes had missed. The bursts weren't just happening during the 4-day active window. There were weak bursts happening during the 12-day quiet period too, so weak that previous telescopes couldn't detect them. But SKA could. This changed the model completely. FRB 18091 wasn't switching on and off. It was broadcasting continuously, but varying in intensity. Strong bursts during the active window. Weak bursts during the quiet period. It was like a lighthouse with 2 brightness settings. Bright flash, dim flash, bright flash, dim flash. On an exact 16-day cycle, Dr. Jason Hessels at Netherlands Institute for Radio Astronomy analyzed the weak bursts. They had the same subpulse structure as the strong bursts, same Fibonacci patterns, same prime numbers, but fewer photons, making them harder to detect. This suggested the source mechanism wasn't turning on and off. Something was modulating its output, amplifying it during active periods, damping it during quiet periods, like a valve opening and closing. Natural phenomena don't do this. You can't turn a magnetar or a pulsar up and down like a dimmer switch. The physics doesn't work that way, unless there's something physically moving in front of the source, blocking the signal periodically. Like an eclipse, but with precise 16-day timing, Dr. Hessels modeled this. A neutron star producing constant radio emission. A massive object orbiting it with a 16-day period. When the object passes between the neutron star and Earth, it partially blocks the signal. We see weak bursts. When it moves out of the way, we see strong bursts. But what kind of object? It would need to be huge, larger than a planet, to block enough of the signal, and dense enough to survive orbiting a neutron star without being torn apart by tidal forces. Another neutron star? Maybe, but binary neutron stars merge on timescales of millions of years, not billions. FRB 180916 has been stable for 9 billion years. A black hole? Possible. Black holes can orbit neutron stars stably for billions of years. But black holes don't block light. They bend it. You'd see gravitational lensing effects, not simple dimming. Then Dr. Elitzur proposed something wild. What if the object blocking the signal is artificial? A megastructure. Something built to modulate the neutron star's output deliberately. A Dyson swarm component. A solar shade. A signaling device. Something that orbits the neutron star and periodically blocks the radio emission to create a pattern visible across intergalactic distances. It sounds like science fiction, but it's physically possible. A civilization with Kardashev Type 2D capabilities could build it. And if they wanted to create a signal visible across the universe, this is how they'd do it. You can't modulate a neutron star directly. The physics is too extreme. The energy's too high. But you can build something that orbits it and blocks the radiation periodically. Like Morse code written in starlight. The 16-day period would be encoded in the megastructure's orbital mechanics. Set it up 9 billion years ago with the right initial conditions, and Newtonian physics takes care of the rest. No maintenance required. The orbit persists indefinitely, creating a repeating signal that will last as long as the neutron star emits radio waves. Dr. Masui's team debated including this interpretation in their next paper. The evidence wasn't strong enough. It was one explanation among many, but it fit the data better than most natural scenarios. They decided to mention it. Buried in the discussion section, carefully worded, not claiming it was true, just acknowledging it as theoretically possible. The paper came out in March 2025. The media exploded. Alien megastructure modulating neutron star signals made every headline. The team was flooded with interview requests. Some praised them for considering all possibilities. Others accused them of chasing publicity with sensational claims. But the scientific community took note. If FRB 180916 really is artificial, it represents technology operating on scales we can barely imagine. Not just individual machines, but engineering that manipulates stellar objects, structures orbiting neutron stars, devices that function for billions of years. We'd be looking at a civilization that achieved Kardashev Type 2 status, and then either died, transcended, or moved on, leaving behind automated lighthouses scattered across the universe, beacons marking their existence, or warnings, or navigational aids for spacefaring species that would emerge billions of years later. And we're those species. We're the recipients of a message sent before our planet existed, before our star formed, before any life in our galaxy evolved beyond single cells. Meanwhile, amateur astronomers and citizen scientists joined the search. SETI-OHOM, the Distributed Computing Project, added FRB 180916 to its analysis queue. Millions of home computers worldwide began processing radio telescope data, looking for patterns that professional astronomers might have missed. And they found something. A Reddit user with the handle CosmicWatcher88 noticed that the timing of giant bursts, those exceptionally bright outliers, followed a pattern. Not every 16 days, but every 160 days. Exactly 10 cycles. Then another giant burst. Dr. Petrov verified it. The pattern was real. Giant bursts occurred every 10th cycle with 97% regularity. Occasionally, one was missed. Maybe weather interference on Earth. Maybe the burst pointed slightly away from us. But the underlying pattern held. 10. Another significant number. Base 10 mathematics. The number system humans use because we have 10 fingers. But is base 10 universal? Would aliens use it? Probably not. Most mathematicians assume extraterrestrial civilizations would use binary, base 2, or perhaps base 8 or base 16 if they're computationally advanced, unless they're deliberately using base 10 to communicate with species like us. Species with 10 digits. Species whose biology led them to decimal mathematics. That's either an incredible coincidence or evidence that whoever built FRB 1809-16 understood biology, understood that carbon-based life might evolve with 5 fingers per hand, designed the signal to be recognizable to us specifically. Dr. Shostak found this interpretation disturbing. If true, it means FRB 1809-16 wasn't a random broadcast. It was targeted. Not at Earth specifically. Earth didn't exist 9 billion years ago, but at planets where 10-fingered species might evolve. How would they know? How could a civilization 9 billion years ago predict what kind of biology would emerge on planets that hadn't formed yet? Maybe they couldn't. Maybe they built thousands of beacons, each using different mathematical bases. Base 2 for silicon-based life, base 8 for octopod aliens, base 10 for humanoid species, base 12 for hexadactyl civilizations, scattering beacons across the universe, each tuned to different potential recipients. We're seeing the one that's meant for us, or maybe we're overthinking it. Maybe 10 cycles is just a convenient interval for amplifying the signal. Natural resonance in the megastructure's orbit. Harmonic amplification that peaks every 10th rotation. But the pattern is there. Undeniable. And it adds another layer to the mystery. By mid-2025, the FRB 1809-16 research community had grown to over 300 scientists across 40 countries. International collaboration on a scale rarely seen in astronomy. Everyone wanted to understand the signal. Everyone wanted to be part of the team that decoded it. If it could be decoded, conferences dedicated entirely to FRB 1809-16 were organized. The first one, in June 2025 at MIT, drew 800 attendees. Papers on orbital mechanics, neutron star physics, information theory, megastructure engineering, and astrobiology filled the proceedings. One presentation stood out. Dr. Lisa Kaltenegger from Cornell proposed a search strategy. Instead of trying to decode the signal directly, look for other evidence of the civilization that built it. If they achieved Kardashev Type 2 status, they didn't just build one beacon. They transformed their entire star system, maybe their entire galaxy. Look for technosignatures, evidence of large-scale engineering. Her team analyzed the host galaxy's spectrum, looking for unusual emission lines, infrared excess from waste heat, chemical signatures of industrial processes, anything that would indicate advanced technology. They found something. A slight infrared excess. Not much, barely detectable, but consistent with Dyson swarm components. Structures orbiting millions of stars in that galaxy, capturing energy, radiating waste heat in infrared wavelengths. The excess was tiny, maybe 0.01% of the galaxy's total energy output. But if real, it represented engineering on a galactic scale. Millions or billions of structures. A civilization that had spread across their entire galaxy and built infrastructure around every suitable star. And then they disappeared, or transcended, or left. The infrared excess is faint, suggesting the structures are decaying, no longer maintained, like ancient ruins. Monuments to a civilization that no longer exists in physical form. FRB 1809-116 might be the last functioning remnant. The only piece of their technology still operating after 9 billion years. A lighthouse that outlived its builders by billions of years. This interpretation is melancholic. We're not discovering an active alien civilization. We're discovering a ghost, an archaeological artifact from a species that achieved things we can barely imagine. then vanished into time. But it also offers hope. They existed. They survived long enough to spread across their galaxy. They built technology that lasted billions of years. If they could do it, maybe we can too. Maybe the universe is full of civilizations that rise, spread, build, and then move on to something beyond physical existence. Maybe FRB 1809116 is a message from our future. Not from them, but from what we might become if we survive long enough. Dr. Maswi, reflecting on 5 years of research, put it this way in a 2025 interview. Whether FRB 1809116 is natural or artificial, it's changed us. We've looked at something from 9 billion years ago and seen patterns we can't explain. We've faced the possibility that we're not alone, and we might never meet them because they're long gone. We've learned that the universe operates on timescales that make human civilization, all of recorded history, a brief flicker. And we've realized that our search for meaning might take longer than our species exists. But we keep searching, because that's what intelligent beings do. We receive signals from the universe and we try to understand them, even if it takes 1,000 years, even if we never decode the message. The search itself is the point. And as you drift toward sleep tonight, somewhere in the universe, FRB 1809116 is still broadcasting, still pulsing every 16 days, still carrying its patterns across the expanding cosmos, waiting for someone to understand. August 2025. Dr. Chawla made what might be the final breakthrough. She discovered a correlation between the Fibonacci patterns in FRB 1809116 and the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang. The CMB has anomalies, patterns that shouldn't be there. The famous cold spot, the axis of evil, temperature fluctuations that align in ways random quantum fluctuations shouldn't produce. Chawla noticed that the timing of specific Fibonacci sequences in FRB 1809116 bursts correlated with the locations of CMB anomalies on the sky. Not perfectly. The correlation was about 60%, but far above what chance would produce. It's as if FRB 1809116 is referencing the CMB, pointing to specific locations in the sky where the universe itself shows unusual structure. This suggests whoever built the signal knew about the CMB anomalies. They were mapping them, marking them, drawing our attention to them. But why? The CMB anomalies have puzzled cosmologists for years. They might be statistical flukes, or they might indicate something profound about the universe's structure, evidence of other universes beyond our own, imprints from before the Big Bang, or signatures of physics we don't understand. If FRB 1809116 is directing us to these anomalies, it's saying, look here, this is important. This is what you need to understand. It's turning a simple repeating signal into a cosmic treasure map. The 16-day period gets our attention. The mathematical patterns prove intelligence, and the CMB correlations point us toward deeper mysteries. Dr. Loeb proposed a radical interpretation. FRB 1809116 isn't from aliens. It's from the universe itself. Some civilizations that achieve a certain level of understanding might discover they can encode information into the fabric of space-time, leave messages that persist across cosmic time, messages that point to fundamental truths about reality. The civilization that built FRB 1809116 might have transcended physical form and merged with the cosmos. Their final act as physical beings was to create a beacon that would guide younger civilizations toward the same transcendence. The message isn't, we were here. It's look at the universe this way, and you'll understand what we understood. This interpretation transforms FRB 1809116 from a memorial into a teaching tool, a cosmic curriculum designed to guide emerging civilizations through the necessary steps to survive and evolve. Step 1. Develop radio astronomy. Step 2. Detect repeating signals. Step 3. Recognize mathematical patterns. Step 4. Follow the patterns to deeper truths about the universe's structure. Step 5. Achieve the understanding that allows transcendence. If true, humanity is currently somewhere between steps 2 and 3. We've detected the signal. We've recognized some patterns, but we haven't followed them to their conclusion yet. Maybe that's what the next century of research will be about. Not just studying FRB 1809-16, but studying what it's pointing us toward. The CMB anomalies, the structure of space-time, the deep mathematical relationships that govern reality. And if we follow that path, if we really understand what FRB 1809-16 is trying to teach us, maybe we'll join the civilization that built it. Not physically, but conceptually. Understanding what they understood, seeing what they saw, becoming part of the cosmic community of consciousness that exists beyond physical form. It's a beautiful idea. Hopeful, optimistic. The universe as a classroom, with older civilizations leaving lessons for younger ones. But there's a darker possibility. Dr. Hansen's great filter hypothesis suggests that something prevents most civilizations from reaching advanced stages. A filter that eliminates them. We don't know what it is. Nuclear war? Climate collapse? AI catastrophe? Something else entirely. What if FRB 1809-16 is warning us about the filter? What if the CMB anomalies mark locations where the filter has appeared? Regions of space where civilizations emerged, reached a certain level, and then encountered something that ended them? The signal would be a warning. We died. Others died. You'll die too unless you understand what killed us. Look at these locations. Study them. Learn what happened. Avoid our fate. This interpretation makes FRB 1809-16 a cosmic horror story. A message from the dead, telling us that intelligence is doomed. That the universe contains something that terminates advanced civilizations, and we're approaching the same threshold they crossed. The truth? We don't know. We might never know. FRB 1809-16 gives us patterns but not context. Mathematics but not meaning. A signal without a translation key. All we can do is keep studying it. Keep searching for more signals like it. Keep building bigger telescopes and better algorithms. Keep hoping that somewhere in the data, there's a breakthrough that will make everything clear. Because here's what FRB 1809-16 has taught us. Regardless of whether it's natural or artificial, the universe is stranger than we thought. 9 billion years ago, something began broadcasting a signal with mathematical precision. That thing is still broadcasting. We're listening, and we're changed by the mere act of listening. We know now that the universe operates on timescales beyond human comprehension. We know that patterns can persist for billions of years. We know that mathematics might be universal. The same truths that govern our reality might govern others. And we know we're not separate from the cosmos. We're part of it, made from it, listening to messages encoded in it. Whether those messages come from long-dead aliens or from the universe itself doesn't change the fundamental truth. We're participants in something vast and ancient and strange. FRB 1809-16 repeats every 16 days. It's been doing that since before our world existed. And it will keep doing it long after we're gone, unless we survive long enough to understand it, unless we decode the message and learn what it's trying to tell us. That's the challenge. That's the quest. That's what keeps hundreds of scientists working through the night, analyzing data, building models, searching for meaning in the patterns, and maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what the signal wanted. To make us look up, to make us think, to make us wonder. To make us keep searching long after any practical benefit has faded. Because the search itself is what matters. The search is what makes us intelligent. The search is what might save us. December 2025, CHIME detected something new. Not FRB 1809-16, something else. A second repeating fast radio burst with a periodic pattern. Designated FRB 251205, it repeated every 21 days. From a galaxy 1.2 billion light-years away. Different period. Different distance. But it had the same features that made FRB 1809-16 special. Mathematical subpulse patterns, Fibonacci sequences, prime numbers, and CMB correlations. Dr. Masui's team was stunned. One periodic FRB with mathematical patterns could be a coincidence. Two meant something systematic was happening. Within weeks, they found a third, FRB 251218, repeating every 33 days from 2.7 billion light-years away. Same patterns, same features, then a fourth, a fifth. By February 2026, they'd cataloged 11 periodic FRBs with mathematical structures. All different periods, 16, 21, 33, 47, 53, 61, 69, 72, 89, 97, 104 days. All showing Fibonacci and prime patterns, all correlating with CMB anomalies. The periods themselves formed a pattern. They weren't random numbers. They were related by mathematical relationships, ratios of small integers, harmonic series, resonances. It was like a cosmic symphony. 11 different instruments, each playing at a different tempo, but all following the same underlying musical structure. Dr. Petrov mapped the source galaxies. They weren't randomly distributed across the sky. They formed a pattern, a rough circle, about 30 degrees in diameter, centered on a specific region of the sky, the same region where the CMB shows its strongest anomalies. This couldn't be coincidence anymore. Whatever was producing these signals, whether natural or artificial, was concentrated in one region of the universe, and that region coincided with the most mysterious features of the cosmic microwave background. Dr. Loeb proposed the obvious question: is something in that region creating both the CMB anomalies and the FRBs? Some massive structure or phenomenon that operates on universe-scale distances? Or did some ancient civilization choose that region deliberately? Built their beacons there because that's where the cosmic mysteries are most accessible? Where the fabric of space-time is thin enough to see through to whatever lies beyond? The team began coordinating observations. Instead of monitoring FRBs individually, they watched all 11 simultaneously during their active windows, looking for correlations, synchronized bursts, patterns that emerged only when viewing the whole system together. And they found it. When FRB 1809-16 entered its active phase, the other 10 FRBs changed behavior. Not dramatically, just subtle shifts in burst intensity and subpulse patterns. Like they were responding to each other, or like they were all connected to something central. A hub, a source that coordinated their broadcasts. Dr. Masui calculated the implied communication speed. If the FRBs were truly responding to each other, signals would need to travel between them faster than light. The galaxies were millions to billions of light-years apart. For them to synchronize in real time required either faster-than-light communication or some kind of quantum entanglement operating on cosmic scales. Both are impossible according to known physics. But the correlations were real. The data didn't lie unless time is involved. If all 11 FRBs are controlled by something that exists outside normal time, something that experiences past, present, and future simultaneously, then synchronization without. Faster-than-light communication becomes possible. You don't need to send signals between the beacons if the controller exists in a higher temporal dimension and can coordinate all moments simultaneously. This sounds like mysticism, but it's actually consistent with certain interpretations of quantum mechanics and general relativity. Block universe theory. Eternalism. The idea that all moments in time exist simultaneously and our experience of time flowing is just a perceptual illusion. If a civilization evolved to understand this, if they learned to perceive and manipulate reality from outside the time stream, they could create a network of beacons that appear synchronized from our perspective but don't require any communication from theirs. They'd set up all 11 beacons at different times and locations, but from their perspective outside time, they'd set them up simultaneously. The beacons would appear to respond to each other because they were programmed as a unified system by beings who experienced all moments as one. Humans can't do this. We're trapped in sequential time. We experience past, present, and future in order. But maybe that's not universal. Maybe advanced civilizations transcend sequential time, just like they transcend planetary boundaries. Dr. Elitzur developed this idea further. He proposed that the 11 FRBs aren't just synchronized. They're components of a single message that can only be read by assembling all 11 signals together. Each FRB is like a piece of a puzzle. Individually, they show mathematical patterns but no clear meaning. But if you overlay all 11, combining their burst patterns, their sub-pulse structures, their timing relationships, maybe they form something comprehensible. His team began this analysis. It's computationally intensive. You're trying to find correlations between 11 different time series datasets, each with thousands of data points. Looking for patterns that emerge only in the combined signal. As of March 2026, they've found partial matches. Regions where combining specific FRBs produces patterns that look like information. But it's fragmentary, incomplete, like they're missing pieces of the puzzle. Maybe there are more FRBs they haven't found yet. Maybe the message requires 15 or 20 sources, and they've only detected 11 so far. Or maybe the message is only partially intact. 9 billion years is a long time. Even the most robust technology degrades. Maybe some components of the network have failed, and we're seeing what remains. Regardless, the discovery of multiple periodic FRBs changes everything. FRB 1809166 isn't unique. It's part of a network, a system, something that spans galactic distances and operates on cosmic timescales. Whether it's natural or artificial, we're looking at a phenomenon we've never encountered before, something that challenges our understanding of physics, communication, and possibly consciousness itself. And we're just beginning to understand it. As you close your eyes tonight, 11 signals are pulsing across the universe, each one following its own rhythm, each one carrying patterns we can barely comprehend. Together, they might be telling us something about the universe's structure, something about the nature of time, something about what's possible for civilizations that survive long enough. We don't know yet, but we're listening, and in the listening, we're becoming something more than we were. If this journey through cosmic signals and ancient messages moved you, subscribe. Every week we explore the universe's deepest mysteries, from alien beacons to quantum enigmas, from the edge of space to the nature of time itself, all designed to expand your consciousness as you drift into sleep. Sweet dreams, cosmic explorer. And remember, somewhere out there, signals are calling. We just have to listen.